Greetings, my name is Kerry and welcome back to my channel. Today I have for you my September reading stats wrap up. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the stats of what I read in September and some of the books. It was a bit of a slow reading month for me, I'm not gonna lie. I moved in the middle of September and I've started a new uni course, so everything's been a little bit all over the place. As you can see as well, I'm filming in a new location. Hopefully you've seen my October TBR where I explained a little bit about that. But yeah, this is my new room, my new house. I have lots of housemates. It's all been a very weird month. So I actually only finished 5 books in September, which is the least I've read in a month at all this year. I think there was one other month where I finished 6 books. So having read 19 books in August and to drop it down to only 5 in September felt really weird, but actually, to be fair, a lot of the books I finished in August had been ongoing for a while and I'd got my currently reading list right down. So I don't feel too badly. Like, with everything that was going on in September, it doesn't feel that awful, other than the fact that I didn't read everything that I set out to read. But life happens sometimes, so we're going with it. I read 5 books. That was 5 different authors. The longest book that I finished was Dreams of Gods and Monsters by Laini, which was 613 pages, and the shortest book that I finished was called From Topic to Thesis by Kibbe, which was 153 pages, which was a book I had to read for uni. The total number of pages of the books that I finished, so actually yeah, no, I started these all in September, so I read, actually this is accurate for once, I read a total of 1,714 books, which was an average of 343 pages per book, so that's a slightly higher average than August actually, even though it was like 4,000 less pages in total. 5 of the books earned me £1 for my balance and 1 book earned me £2, which was a Laini one because it was over 500 pages. I bought some books in September as well. I also received quite a few for my birthday, which was nice. So at the start of the month I had £16.71 in my account, but I also had a £20 gift card which I was given when I left my job. I bought 5 books in September. The first one was Saving Lucas Biggs, which was the Vault-a-thon group book, so this cost me £6.99. I got 2 books for £6 in HMV, which were Daring Greatly by Brené Brown, The Lights Do Not Like That, and the Earthsea Quartet by Ursula Le Guin, so that was good to get both of those for £6. And then I used my gift card at Waterstones to buy Empire of Gold by S.A. Chakraborty and The City in the Middle of the Night by Charlie Jane Anders. Once I'd spent the gift card, they cost me £3.98, so that took me slightly over the amount I had on there, but then I earned £6 in September, so at the moment I have £5.74 left to spend on books. I'm not going to buy any more books at the moment. I say I only bought those 5 in September. I actually bought quite a lot of books for uni as well, and I bought our Space Sirens book club book, so I bought a little bit more than that. But books for uni and books for book club don't count in my accounting, and also the latest Ninja book box arrived, which I haven't actually opened yet, but that also doesn't count because I've just decided that it doesn't, to make myself feel slightly better. It's only quarterly anyway. Right, so back to my stats. All the books I read actually were published in the 21st century, so I had 2 books were published in 2015, 1 in 2017 and 2 in 2020. I gave 2 books 5 stars, 2 books 4 stars and 1 book 3 stars. The book that I read the quickest was The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. That took me 3 days to read. I read that before I moved, so I don't have the book with me. Actually, I've lent it to a friend who is really enjoying it, so that's good. The book that took me the longest to read was Heroine, Chic by James William Purcell Webster. This is a short story collection that I was sent by the publisher for review. Hopefully you'll have seen my review for this. If not, I'll link it in the description box for you. You can go and check it out. This took me 24 days to read because I was taking my time over it. It was a short story collection, so I wanted to really enjoy the stories and make the most of them. And actually, if I hadn't been reviewing it, I would have taken longer to read it, but because I'd had a deadline for when I needed to review it by, I read the stories more quickly than I would have liked, but I go into a lot more detail about that in the review, so go and check that out. So that gave me an average reading length of 11 days, which is down a lot from the previous month, considering I was finishing off a lot of books that I've been spending a long time over in August. I think it's going to go up again next month. There were 2 books that I read that I started reading straight away, and then the book that had been on my TBR the longest was Dreams of Gods and Monsters, which had been on there for 619 days. So I had an average length on my TBR TBR this month of 140 days, which is, again, is lower than the previous month, but that's because I didn't read as many books that have been on my TBR for a long time. So I envisaged that going up as well. 4 of the books were on my published TBR and 1 book wasn't, which was the book I read for uni because I didn't know I had to read it before then. 3 books were new that I bought this year. 1 book was from my own TBR and 1 book was a library book. 2 of the books were hardback and the other 3 were paperback. 3 books were fantasy, 1 was a short story collection and 1 was non-fiction. 4 of the books were for an adult audience and 1 was YA. Most of the authors were American. I read 4 American authors and 1 British author, so in terms of nationality diversity, not a great result that month, but never mind. 3 of the authors were white American, 1 was white British and 1 was a black American author. So again, with ethnicity, I like it to be a bit more varied than that, but when I've only read 5 books, it's not awful. And then all of the authors were either cisgendered male or cisgendered female, so again, need to be trying to work on reading more transgender and non-binary authors. That is something that I'm hoping to do next month. Okay, in terms of my challenges, 3 books counted towards the indie challenge, which was great. 1 book counted towards the Start on Your Shelf-a-thon challenge, was from my backlist, and then 1 book also completed the series for me, which was really, really helpful. So not great on my challenges, but also not terrible. Author diversity, again, this was lacking a bit this month, so I had 1 book from a marginalised ethnicity and 2 books from authors from the LGBTQIA+ community, but nothing from disability, mental health or neurodiverse rep in terms of the authors. But in terms of the characters, I did hit all of those markers again, which is something I'm trying to do every month, so at least I'm getting lots of diversity in the characters. I do want to try and be reading more own voices stuff though. Okay, so that's all the stats. I feel like I've got through that really quickly, but it's just because there aren't many books to talk about this month. The book that I would count as my least favourite, I gave 1 book 3 stars, and that was From Topic to Thesis, which I had to read for uni. It was just about how you pick a thesis for writing essays, research essays, and like about doing research essays, and because I've done quite a lot of studying before, it didn't really give me any new information. I mean, it was helpful in some senses, or it would have been less than 3 stars, and it did tell me about some referencing software which will be really useful for me. I don't really have a lot to say about it though, because I don't think that's very interesting for you. The book that I'm going to pick as my favourite book is going to be The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. I did film a book diary for this, which I will link for you in the description box so you can check out my thoughts ongoing as I was reading it. I really, really loved this book. It was our August pick for our Space Sirens book club, so I'll also link the live show for that as well so you can check that out. I really, really loved this book. It was so inventive, the characters were so well drawn and fun and distinctive. I loved the storyline, I loved the atmosphere of the book. There was just so much to love in that story. Really well done to TJ Klune for writing such a beautiful book, and it is one that I will reread and will treasure, I think, for a long time. Yeah, oh, I should say a little bit about the book, shouldn't I? I will link to those other things so you can see me talk more about them, but it's about a middle-aged man called Laini who works for the department in charge of magical youth, and he has to go and inspect houses where these magical youth live and check that they're up to scratch. And he reports to extremely upper management one day, and they give him a new assignment to go and visit a specific orphanage that has children with quite specific magical needs, and he's got to go and stay for a month with them and figure out what's going on there. It becomes quite clear that extremely upper management have an agenda, but just the way the story is told, the characters he meets, is just all really, really well done. So if you haven't read that yet, I really do highly recommend it. Yeah, so that's it. That's my stats for September. Quite short this month because I didn't read a lot, so there's not that much to talk about. Let me know how you got on reading in September. Did you have a better month than me? What were some of your favourite things that you read? Have a chat to me down in the comments. You can also follow me on my social media. I'm on Twitter and Instagram and on Goodreads, so if you want more information about what I'm reading, go and check those places out. You can also like this video, which helps support my channel, and subscribe as well if you'd like to hear more from me. Those are both great ways that you can support my channel and let me know that you're interested in what I have to say. But that's it for today, so thank you so much for watching, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye!